All right, we're live. We're on a different link, guys. I'll ruin people's days. All good? All right, we're live. We're on a different link, guys. I'll ruin people's days.
Okay, so I guess we just need to communicate the new link so that people have it. Yeah, that's done. David, we need some communication here.
So
yes,
sorry,
no?
sorry. I'm trying to. I'm spinning plates. Yes, it's done, and it will be done. Even
okay,
more.
Good. Okay, excellent. Okay, let's go. I'll take off David Morrison's. I'm sure you had like an amazing intro. Should I take that off and try to make an impersonation? That might not work. But while we are actually sorting our last minute tech details, welcome everybody to our town hall. It was absolutely fantastic to see many of you at Consensus in Austin last week, and to the many teams that have been involved in pulling this together. Bravo for an incredible event. Super proud of the work that's been achieved. It's fair to say that Consensus was the cornerstone in Near's journey. And it's actually the point where we are moving away from a layer one and becoming the boss. And I believe it's fair to say that we've made the turn with Brio. With the boss, we are becoming a unifying force in Web3, moving away from the tribalism that we see all too often amongst layer ones and layer two. And Near Tech is the only place where the boss can happen, thanks to our almost immediate finality, potential for infinite scaling, remote accounts, features, human readable names, super cheap transactions, just to name some of the few things that are Near unique. Some of the snippets of what we heard on the ground at Consensus, the booth, the feedback on the booth was absolutely spectacular. The attendance, the delivery, the booth itself, and we've heard that Near booth was the best one. So fantastic job to pulling that together. Near teams all across whatever project you're on, feedback that I keep hearing on is super smart and super nice, which is a very good combo to have. Near is the boss. We heard over and over that it is what Web3 needs, and probably one of the top 5 innovations of Web3 in 2023. There you go. And the brand, the positioning has been deemed as very exciting, very visible. For those of you who actually flew by and went through the airport, there were even visuals there that were very catchy. Our backers and projects are excited to see Near Horizon be live, which did its first step there as MVP. And many actually couldn't believe how fast it was developed, which created confusion on, is it actually live? Yes, it is. Laura will actually share more about Near Horizon in a bit. Anyway, a huge thank you to each and every one of you. It's been a true collective effort to actually get to this point, evolving from a layer one to the boss. Special thanks to the Near Foundation marketing team, and to the event team for running actually an incredible event. Obviously, there is much more to do. This is only the beginning. But the one thing I know for sure, and I hope you also know that is the boss. Now, on our agenda today, what do we have? Quite a packed agenda. Intro, I'll remind everyone of Near Foundation's mission and strategy and our conviction as we move into the next chapter of our evolution. We have Ilya and Alex who are here and who will actually share more about the boss and what they actually shared at Consensus, because guess what? We still need, like, I think a couple of days for the video of those talks to be live, though we thought we would actually share that here. Laura will give an update on Horizon. You will hear David, I promise, it was just not my impersonation. You will hear David speak about and stepping in for Marcus, who's on holiday, to give a deep dive on the ecosystem and the updates. And as promised, you wanted to hear about DeFi, so Kendall is here and is going to help us give a deep dive on DeFi on Near. As always, if there are topics that you want to see discussed or stuff that you want to come about and talk, please reach out. We are always looking for ideas and things that we can actually discuss and present here. And we think this is a great platform for the community. So never hesitate if there's something that you want to share. Now, on to Near Foundation's mission. Why do we exist? To support the ongoing growth and development of an autonomous and decentralized Near ecosystem. Our success is your success. In terms of convictions, the fact that we want to be very easy to use for developers, for users, remains at the core and the heart of what Near is all about and has been about from day one. And with the evolution of actually Near being the BOS, becoming this unifying force in Web3, which is actually what is very much needed for having billions of users, is one of our core convictions. Now, Near is the BOS. I mentioned that in the intro, but the Near only Near has actually the tech that is necessary to enable us to be at this position, which is pretty unique in the entire space. How do we actually get traction on all the primitives and actually on the BOS? Bottom up and top down, a strategic partnership, and we are seeing actually a lot of appeal, in particular for key brands who want to build on the BOS and with the BOS. And bottom up, the important effort that are led by the community, the NDC, also enabling more projects to thrive thanks to Near Horizon. That was a very brief intro. I believe now with that, I'm handing over to Ilya.
Thank you, Marique. Yeah, so this is my Unpacking the Blockchain Operating System presentation. So let's dive in. So the evolution of Near, started in 2019 when we started as layer 1 blockchain. Really focusing on how do we build this underlying layer for identity, for payments, for smart contracts, and do something that's simple to build on, simple to use, scalable, secure. And we launched it in 2020, and kind of after that really focused on building the developer platform around it, right, to enable more and more developers being successful. And kind of the realization of a number of challenges that developers facing led us to this continue expanding what we're doing with Near, which is a blockchain operating system. And it's still all on the same mission to get to 1 billion users in Web3 and really bring this technology to the mainstream. So if we go to the next slide, blockchain operating system is this common layer for browsing and discovering open web experiences, and this is compatible with any blockchain, right? And for those who have not yet tried it, it is on near.org. Like the homepage itself is rendered from the blockchain. You can use, Ethereum, zk Sync, and a bunch of other other layer 2s and layer 1s already from it, and it's going to just continue evolving. So we go to the next slide. So what problems blockchain operating system is solving, right? So I mentioned we were doing layer 1, then we were doing developer platform. And so there's a number of problems in Web 2 why we started doing Web 3, right? A lot of them are around censorship, around data privacy, and kind of data leaks. And there's also problems around operational complexity, right? That especially when you do need to do transactional business, any kind of gigs, any kind of coordination of people or funds or assets or supply chains, all of that ends up leading to a massive kind of explosion in operational complexity. And so that's why Web3 came in, but Web3 came with its own challenges, right? It's highly fragmented. There's very little ability to discover what's going on, what are applications. The multi-chain itself leads to kind of this complex environment where you have risks picking which technology you're using, and this leads to tribalism, and it's really hard to re-engage users. There's also just really kind of set of common problems, right? Onboarding in Web3 is obviously extremely challenging, but even in Web2, you need to get sign up everywhere, or you need to rely on kind of a centralized provider like logging with Google or Facebook, which then has all this data and privacy and identity challenges. You still have a distribution problem, right? In Web3, because there's nowhere to distribute, and in Web2, there's so much stuff that you cannot find your way. The complexity to build, the infrastructure management, right? If you're starting to build for multiple modalities, for mobile, for web, multiple mobile platforms, and kind of this cross-platform support, and you still need to be like compliant, right, across both Web2 and Web3. So this is really like all those challenges. We trying to build a platform that addresses all of them in one. So how is blockchain operating system is structured? It's a set of layers, right? It's blockchains at the bottom, right? So Near, Ethereum, and other layer 1s and layer 2s. It's a set of middleware services, right, that are providing kind of abstraction over blockchain, indexing, RPC, relayers, search, notification service, like all of this kind of middleware. And then it's a new layer, user interfaces. And finally, on top is wallets. So if we go to the next slide and kind of zooming in, the kind of new layers that wasn't there before. So like data platform, there existed pieces, right? It wasn't very like kind of unified. But the new layer that we presented kind of for the first time is decentralized composable frontends, right? It's this idea that you can actually have the frontend itself stored on the blockchain and construct it for you when you go to the website or to the app. And what it allows to do is to have a censorship resistant, highly composable applications, because now the application itself is not living on some centralized server. It's not kind of, you don't need to go to a specific URL to get it. It lives on a blockchain. Similarly, kind of what smart contracts did for services, Discovery is doing for front ends, right? It's making them kind of autonomous units that are composable and can be used by anyone. And so then you have gateways, which is the way you access this applications and this whole stack. And so Near.org is our featured gateway, right, where we're showcasing this technology. But there's already a bunch of other gateways and kind of more apps and browsers and wallets are integrating kind of gateway into their own stack. And finally, you have all these kind of ways to, manage your keys, which are wallets. And one of them that we launched as well to kind of showcase this simple onboarding called FastAuth, which uses on-device secure enclave to create cryptography and uses biometrics to authorize transactions with that. And that kind of allows to have a very smooth onboarding into this platform. So that's kind of a stack, right? There's a lot of pieces, and kind of each layer has its own, life in a way, but they all together form this blockchain operating system. Next slide. So kind of at the core of it, what we're trying to get to is that this decentralization, right, that we, build toward is actually benefits a distribution, right? Usually it's a trade-off. Usually if you choose to be decentralized, right, you're actually losing a distribution. You need to choose a layer 1. You kind of not allowing users to sign up easily, right? They need to pay for their own transaction fees. You have a lot of the kind of limitations that now like limit how many users and usage you can get. And so with BOS, we're really trying to turn that around and actually leverage decentralization, leverage the fact that now all of these places can have access to the same apps. Doesn't matter where you're coming from. You're coming from Near.org, from some wallet, through the browser, through the desktop app. It doesn't matter. They all have exactly the same apps, the same search index. It's all your data as a user and kind of your recommendations as well. Next slide. So what does this mean for kind of different personas, right? So for enterprises, this means that they can take their existing website or app and really embed Web3 into it, right? With very little work. So they can take, for example, their website, embed gateway into it with like few lines of code, and then this will allow them to have onboard users into Web3. They can sponsor their transactions, so users don't need to think about transaction fees. then you have, they can still charge them with a credit card, but then they can, provide them either NFT for their items or secondary resale or loyalty or whatever the functionality that they need. And from a perspective of enterprise, they don't need to venture into this Web3 world and build out kind of a Web3 team that need to understand the exact complexities of how to use which blockchain. They just literally inject some JavaScript into their website and kind of configure which components they need to show. And so that's really what the power here is. And it's multi-chain right away. So the users of existing wallets can still use it. It's right away visible everywhere else. And so it kind of allows them to capture their audience and turn them into Web3, but also have all the other Web3 audiences working with it as well. Next. Now, for builders, it's really the fastest developer environment, right? The aim is it's faster than Web2 because you can build once and use everywhere, right? You have a ton of components, right? We already have over 3,000 components there. They are available on mobile and web. It's all JavaScript. You can kind of jump in, really quickly prototype something. And right away, it's available to everyone, right? It's available in all of these places and people can start playing with it. You have a social feed where you can post about it. Like you can, all the users already onboarded. You don't need to launch your own website, create your own login system and auth system onboarding. You don't need to build all of that flow. And you don't need to pay for hosting. You don't need to kind of pay for anything. You just kind of deploy all that and it's ready to go. And it's going to scale to the number of users that's going to come. And finally, for individuals, it's really the place where you we turn community commerce on, right? It's really the place where you can come in and have your custom experience based on who you are and what you do. You connect, collaborate, and with people. You can manage your assets. You can find things that what are the apps as well as what are the experiences that happen. You can search for things. Again, near.org, try it out. There's components and apps that you can explore. And really, it's like a kind of a single place where everything from NFT to marketplace for ads to work to DeFi and finance can be happening in one place. And you can communicate with people. You can kind of create a universal profile for yourself as you build up reputation in this universe. Next. So all of this is live, right? So this went live last week, kind of fully launched Friday, which huge thanks to the team. I think we'll talk about that in a bit. But kind of this is the mind-boggling part is that all of this is not just a promise. It's decentralized front ends, they're live. You can use other blockchains on it, and kind of all of this experience are ready to go. So just to dive in how it looks, if we go to the next slide, so kind of as you log in, right, and you get into this kind of social application environment, right? You have a social feed where you can communicate and explore and discover what people are doing, and you have components and that you can, or apps in this case, which you can play around with. So there's over 120 apps now. They span everything from DeFi to NFTs to kind of social to developer tooling, developer DAOs, ability to explore things around the blockchain operating system itself. So kind of a very large variety of games as well. And we see more and more applications are coming. You can actually build Web2 applications here as well. It's not limited to just Web3. You can actually have uncensorable Web2 applications, and obviously then it depends on what backends you're using. Next. Development mode, right? You can right away from anywhere, anything you look at, right? The game you're playing, the DeFi app you're using, you can click, view, develop, and view the code, and you can fork it, right? And so right away you drop into the code editor, and you can see the preview as you're editing it. You can also obviously sync all of this locally and use Visual Studio Code extension and really code, and have very similar experience locally as well. and kind of synchronize between local folders and what's on chain. Next. And finally, connect, right? It is like there's people and kind of social presence here. And so there's actually over 8,000 people now. So you have a huge kind of network that's continuously growing. And like a lot of this started with, core Near ecosystem here, which is great because now we have like a kind of core Near ecosystem that you can discover. It's not just, a Telegram chat you cannot read, but actually like a community that's communicating. And that's why I encourage everyone to continue posting and updating the community. And as like more community features are launching, kind of participate in that. I think Laura will mention Horizon in a bit, so I'll not go deep into it, but it's amazing to see kind of a pretty fully fleshed out app that is launching on top of the BOS, which really provides on itself a platform for and kind of marketplace between founders, backers, contributors. And final piece is fastest onboarding, right? I mentioned kind of like that's one of the biggest challenges, and between the kind of technology innovation actually that Apple, Google, Microsoft have done, and some of the things we've done, we kind of presented fast auth, right? It's one-time onboarding. You need an email, and you have your Face ID, fingerprint, or PIN code, whatever the biometric configuration you have set up, to start logging into crypto, right? It uses the cryptography from your device, and there's an email recovery MPC in case you do lose the device. You'll be able to add more recovery methods over time. So if you do want to go old school and get your passphrase or set up a ledger, remember Near accounts have multiple keys. You can set up whatever configuration you want. You can turn your account later into multi-sig, into a DAO if you need. But the idea is like here, you start from scratch and 5 seconds and you're in with an account, and you can start posting, you can start interacting with stuff. So it also covers your first some number of transactions and posts on the social feed and kind of interacting with the BOS. So yeah, I mean, if you haven't yet, I'm sure everybody who's watching Town Hall have already signed up, but if you haven't yet, go sign up. It's just near.org and click sign up. We go next. Just to kind of finish with the thought, right? I mean, Marik mentioned like we kind of not going away, we're really expanding, right? Blockchain is part of it. It's a core. If you're familiar with operating systems, there's a kernel, which is like driving everything. So that's what blockchain protocol is. But then there's a lot of other periphery and tooling and user interface that are built on top, right? And that's what these things are: Web3 identity, multi-chain, developer tooling, data platform, social graph, composable front ends. And that's why we're calling it an operating system. It's really kind of bringing all of this tooling in one package and really allowing everyone to interact with blockchains, broadly speaking, in a way that you're not right now thinking anymore about the CPUs that you use on your phone, but just really using apps and kind of interacting with experiences you want. Cool. So it was amazing to have kind of this opportunity to present it at Consensus. We've had a really kind of, I would say, impressive, like I saw people kind of presenting them near.org, right, on my phone directly. And every time people were impressed. People were like, oh, holy crap, this is really good. Like when it's going to be, like the question I got so many times was like, when is this going to be live? And I'm like, that is live now. You can do it now, which was always really funny to see kind of people react. I think the thing that we have heard from Web3 projects specifically is that decentralized front ends really solves their need, right? We have projects like DeFi projects, which are, having challenges running their front ends. They have challenges maintaining all that. We have wallets that have kind of challenges maintaining front ends for other apps because other apps continue innovating, and they don't need to have a team that pretty much like catches up with the changes those apps are doing. And like more and more apps like in Web3 really want to have multiple models, right, and multiple ways to represent the same data. And so this presents like a very kind of contained way to do this that people find extremely useful. And I mean, we had an amazing presence on the consensus floor. I think Marique mentioned the booth was overarching the whole consensus conference, and so I think everybody saw that Near is the boss on the floor. I don't know, Alex, are you here?
Yeah, I am. Hey, Elliot. So looking ahead, we're going to give a new update on long-term direction into 2024. So similar to how we say with protocol roadmap, here are the different phases over a long multi-year time period. You can expect an update of a similar place for the BOS overall. We really want to emphasize more community joint development. I mean, I think to get the BOS launch was a strong effort from about 4 or 5 different companies in the ecosystem, which is probably the most coordinated ecosystem launch that we've had, but we really want to expand on that to be more inclusive of a lot more groups. And then we really want to start bringing more conversation onto near.org. There's, some social platform that's there. There's definitely plans to expand the capabilities of us all being able to have more real-time conversation and in different groups. And we've hired some new people who come from social networking backgrounds to help us with that. So I think bringing this all together will really continue to bring the full power of the Near community into the exponential modifier that is the BOS. And long term, I hope us actually to include many communities, not just Near, right, into the conversations here. I guess maybe to follow up on some thank yous, I just want to say like an enormous effort from many folks. Really huge thank you, especially to Foundation, Proximity, Satori, Pagoda, Mintbase gave some like really great components that we used in a demo as well. And I know there's been a ton of work also from other teams who didn't get a chance to fully launch things. So I honestly, coming from a hybrid Web 2, Web 3 background, every day I'm starting to become more and more a believer of why open source is really the future, because these sorts of launches would have taken 3 times as long in a company like a FANG company or something like that. So the fact that we've gone from concept to this full launch in about 3 months is truly incredible. So yeah, open source always wins, like Ilya says. So thank you so much, everybody. And we really look forward to, again, expanding the community involvement over the long-term horizon.
Thank you. And you literally did the best intro that you could have ever done. We didn't even plan that segue because you just said Horizon. But I am here to talk about Near Horizon, which is also here, not actually on the horizon, but is live. So if you go to the next slide, I just by way of introduction, I'm Laura Cunningham, and I'm on the foundation team, and we actually launched Horizon in partnership with a handful of top VCs and accelerator partners at Consensus last week. And so we wanted to give you all a much deeper dive into the product. And by way of shout out, so huge shout out to the Horizon team, and really the whole foundation and our friends at Pagoda for helping get us to this place. This was a huge cross-team effort. And as Ilya mentioned, this is really the first very complex application that was built on the BOS. And so a lot of learnings there, and a lot of support from the Pagoda team to get us there as well. So what is Horizon, right? So first, just to sort of level set, it is a startup support platform, right, that we're building at the foundation. And the mission of Horizon is to attract the highest quality founders to build on Near, and really this should be to build on the BOS, right? This I drafted this a couple of months ago, and so build on BOS, and what that means is they could be building one sort of their layers, right, on the BOS stack, right? They could be building their smart contract layer, they could be building a composable front end, decentralized front end. So there are many ways that you can engage with Horizen as a founder. You don't just have to be building your smart contract layer on Near. But our mission, right, is to find these great founders building real products for real people that solve urgent problems and to help them in taking off. So if we go to the next slide, our big picture vision is that one day any founder will have immediate and direct access to the resources and the people that they need most. So with a click of an account, they will be welcomed into an ecosystem of fruitful collisions, able to build a network of champions and teammates. And there will no longer be missed advice, introductions, capital, or hires. So we're trying to level set the playing field, allowing the best ideas and the best teams to win. So if we go to the next slide, how we're doing that is we're doing that in 3 ways. First is we're building the product, right? So this platform, which I'm about to show you, which is a support marketplace that allows founding teams to amplify their project and also find the support they need. The second thing we're doing is we're entering into a lot of different partnerships with actually many of you who are on this call, where we're basically seeding the marketplace with our top backers, mentors, service providers, and also talent, both fractional talent and full-time talent, who can contribute meaningfully to projects. And then the third way that we're doing this is also providing content and tooling resources. So learning content, right, about how do you build a startup in Web3? What does that mean from a legal standpoint? How should you think about go-to-market? And then also sort of the tooling that you might need. So back office accounting, software that a founder might not even know they need, but it turns out that could really be very challenging if you don't have some of those, sort of operational pieces together in the back end. So what I'm actually going to do now is show you what is live. So if you could just let me share, whoever is perfect. Thank you so much. Cool. And can you see my screen? We good? Awesome. Okay, great. So I'm going to give you just a very brief demo of the product that's focused on the founder journey. So I'm going to be a founder in the ecosystem. And Horizen is discoverable in a few ways, actually via near.org today. And as we said, is built on the operating system. So as a founder, I'm going to come into Horizen and immediately get a high-level sense for the activity in the ecosystem. So I learned that there's a number of active projects, lots of active accounts, and a bunch of capital that has been raised. So what that is intended to do is give me a sense of the vibrancy of our ecosystem, which, as you can see, is incredibly vibrant and is an awesome place to build. We are using the data actually from Near Atlas to drive this information. So shout out to Near Atlas for a collaboration there. We're pulling all the data we get from those folks. So what I can do is I can actually look at all the active projects in the ecosystem and view specific details about them. So for example, I can take a look at Ample, which is a project that was just added today. And I can take a look and get a better understanding of sort of what they're building, what problems they're solving, and information about their socials, who is working on their project. And then if they had uploaded any of this information, I can also see their pitch deck, their white paper, their demo video. So again, we're working with teams right now to get them onboarded and get all this information into the application. But we have the ability for you to really showcase what you're building, both for a backer audience and then also for other founders, right? And for like mentors and coaches who you might want to work with. So I can also see all of the contributors in the ecosystem. So these are service providers that are able to help me with my project and include both individual contributors and organizations. So you'll see KeyPalm, we have Calamero, we have Nearweek, Invoker. We have a bunch of folks already who are in the platform. And then I'm also able to see backers, or I will be able to once we figure out some minor account details. So I understand sort of who's able to invest in my project. And then I can also see contribution requests between projects and potential supporters. So I can see that Layers is looking for a developer to create a DApp. And I could actually propose a contribution if I wanted to and had the skills. And then finally, I am able to access learning resources that can help me get started. So now that I am sold that this is a community that I want to be part of, I can actually create a project profile, signing myself up basically, within the system. So I can fill out some basic information about the project. I'm not going to do that because everything is live and in production. So I'm not going to create a dummy account, but just to give you a sense of once I do create a project, what I'm able to do is then apply to our accelerator partners. So here I have two options. I can apply to accelerator programs. So that's like the Outlier, Antler, the partnerships that we're making with those more traditional programming. And then I can also decide that I want to go on a more self-guided pathway and receive credits to support my journey. And there I will apply to receive credits, fill out a bunch more information, including, information about my team, the founders, information, all of my like document information, and then submit. And then if I do receive credits, I will get a notification back and have some credits that I can use towards support vendors. So that was the drive-by, but thank you for giving me an opportunity to show you what we've been building. And just as a final note, David Morris and I are going to be hosting a Twitter Space AMA this Friday between 1 to 2 Eastern. So please join us there for a more in-depth conversation, and we can spend a lot more time getting into the application and answering questions that folks might have. So thank you all.
Amazing. Thank you.
Good morning,
Yeah.
everyone. I'm tuning in from the freest and greatest country on God's earth, that is the United States, back on the tail end of an incredible consensus. And unfortunately, my confidant, Marcus, is out of office this week, having some well-deserved rest. So I am going to fly through the ecosystem updates as fast as we possibly can, because I wasted all of your time at the start being too inept to get the live stream working. So Dave, let's go. Let's head to the next slide. What's first up? Cosmos scores Web3. That is not Cosmos. It is not IBC. It is Cosmos. Cosmos AI and Near are bringing an exciting and impactful partnership. If you don't know what Cosmos AI is, it is an AI-driven retail analytics company, and they are working with the Near Foundation and the Near ecosystem to develop a payment system that enables low-fee crypto transactions, benefiting both buyers and sellers. Let's move on to the next one, Dave. I will just let everybody know that Marcus has written me some beautiful notes. I'm not going to read them verbatim because we'll be here all day. So I don't know how to pronounce this. VX, VX. I've only read it. They launched Mainnet Consensus 2023, an advanced single-sided liquidity DEX built on Near and backed by Circle. They're implementing widely used TradFi tools with the goal of making the transition from sexes to DEXs as user-friendly as possible. Let's go. Okay, Indexer startup program for Near developers. If you don't know what this is, I'm about to tell you. The Indexer team have been building some amazing infrastructure and tooling, specifically a robust NFT indexing solution on Near. As the TradeBot team begin to index the Near blockchain, they realized that many others in the ecosystem were struggling with putting on-chain data and interpreting that data in their application. So they're now offering this for free. You don't need to have any money. Next. All right. I would say that we have the king of the NDC on the call, but we do not, because there is no king, there is no monarchy. This is a democratic republic. But Blaze, I'm sure you know all of what I'm about to say. The NDC, that is the Near Digital Collective, launches the I Am Human face verification. So we all know firsthand that you can have multiple crypto wallets. You have one that your mom can see, and then you have one that, you know, you don't really want anyone to see because you've been buying things that maybe you shouldn't be buying. So how do we verify that one wallet is one person? Well, the problem is solved with Web3. We have improved on the experience. For those who don't know, there are close to 2 billion paperless people in the world, and they do not have ready access to services like banks, insurance, or elections. So the NDC have set out to build to resolve this problem. They have built I Am Human as a proof of personhood on Near to enable users to vote in the general elections of the Near Digital Collective, but also to enable the ecosystem to build new, cool features that are commonly very hard to create on any international site. Thank you very much, David Weinstein. Let's go to the next one. Whoa, let me zoom in and take these glasses off. Okay, yeah, exactly as predicted. XP Network, the NFT bridge is now live on Near Mainnet. If you didn't miss this technological accomplishment, the XP Network bridge has connected 20 plus EVM and non-EVM blockchains. They have also demonstrated the ability of the bridge by bridging an NFT from BNB chain to Near, which later got sold on Mintbase. So congratulations to whomever owns that piece of history. Let's go to the next one. Wombi brings Web 2 style analytics to Near. So if you had your ear to the ground at Consensus, you would have heard that Wombi, which is a Web3 attribution platform, announced that it is now live on Near with an aim to be the Google Analytics of Web3. Wombi helps decentralized app developers by connecting Web 2 and Web3 funnels so they can instantly see which marketing channels are bringing them the most impactful users. It is now publicly available to all dApps which are fully live or building on the Near blockchain operating system or protocol. Every single developer gets free product and marketing analytics, making Near the first layer one with a live attribution product. Next slide, please, David. Okay, Kutamo and Latitude.sh. Don't know if I'm saying it the right way, but they give Near validators access to premium infrastructure. Again, if you had your ear to the ground at Consensus, you would already know this. For those who didn't, I'm sure you've seen it on Twitter. And if you haven't seen it on Twitter, then there is no hope left for you except for this town hall right now. So Kutamo announced its partnership with enterprise-grade infrastructure provider Latitude.sh, which will give developers and current Near validators more flexibility and control. So for the validators that are using both Kutamo and Latitude, they can now access premium infrastructure at a limited promotional price. Thank you very much, David Weinstein. So Near and Pipeflare, the blog came out yesterday. I can't blame you if you haven't seen it, but if you haven't seen it, shame on you. So what are they doing? They're about to revolutionize, and I know we say that word all the time, the world of Web3 gaming, because Web3 gaming is, will, and always will be built on Near. So let's move to the next one, please. DW. Okay, Shemaru. That's a fun word to say. The world's most populous country, India, is now being onboarded to the world of Near through one of the largest media companies on that wonderful country. Shemaru, they have more than 200 million subscribers across that wonderful nation, and they're like 1 million years old or something, or maybe 60 years old, right? So it just shows that the world of Web 2 is coming into Web 3, and it's doing it at a rapid pace. We have one final slide. David, which is we hit 300 million transactions. If you just click one more time. There we go. We had a little spin for everyone. Congratulations. Keep it up. Have brilliant lives, and perhaps I'll see you next time.
All right, on to DeFi. Hey, everyone. My name is Kendall. I'm one of the co-founders of Proximity, which is an organization that focuses on building out the DeFi ecosystem on Near. So today, just going to cover pretty briefly, but hopefully in an interesting way, basically what it is that's exciting us about the Near DeFi ecosystem in 2023. And I think for me, the thing that's really different from previous years is that the ecosystem is really starting to kind of define itself, find where it's best and where it's really differentiated from other ecosystems, which is really critical, I think, to the success of any ecosystem. And unfortunately, we have a lot of projects that are really understanding that now. Next slide, please. So first, let's talk about Near DeFi's strengths and where we have projects that are capitalizing. As many of you probably know, Near is designed to be high throughput, especially relative to other chains. And this is really, really beneficial for specific types of DeFi applications. So I've listed a couple of teams here. Orderly, which is building a hybrid order book solution off-chain, on-chain, is probably one of the higher throughput order book solutions on the entire market. And I think that that's starting to be really evidenced by the types of orders and throughput that we've seen there. Ref recently launched concentrated liquidity, which is an evolution from their previous standard, similar to Orderly, is able to really get through a lot of orders in a short period of time. And then Tonic and Spin, two other really exciting teams that have both built combinations of fully on-chain order books and some other types of derivative solutions that can take advantage of the fact that we have some of the fastest finality on the market. A really big update for many of you. We finally have USDT fully live on Near, and even more importantly, it's now integrated into several exchanges, including Binance and others, which basically provides it one of the better on-ramps in the entire industry, and that's really exciting. And then many of you may have seen that native USDC is also coming to Near, which is announced by Circle. It sounds like that's going to happen hopefully sooner rather than later. And having the two of those is a pretty critical step for any ecosystem. So we're really excited about that. The third one has been talked about a lot. I think we couldn't be more excited about what BOS is going to be able to power. And I think what's really unique about it, especially when you think about building the entire stack on Near, is that this is really one of the few ecosystems where you can actually build the front end and the smart contract layer all on the same blockchain and power it through BOS. So seeing composability come to both front ends and back ends is pretty uniquely defining, and it's going to be an area that we really continue to push forward in establishing the Near DeFi ecosystem. And the final one is a little bit more of a teaser. I'll definitely leave this to the Aurora guys in a future conversation. But many of you have probably seen the launch of Aurora Cloud, and that's a really customizable environment that still inherits the security and composability from the native Near blockchain, and is going to empower some really, really exciting and differentiated use cases around permissionless and interactions between permission and permissionless environments that essentially abide by the KYC requirements of many different types of parties, but allow them to participate in similar products, which is going to, I think, be really exciting. Next slide. So this year, we expect that two areas Near is really going to define itself. The first one is Near as an order book chain, or really the order book chain. As many of you may be aware, there have been quite a few products and ecosystems who are attempting to define themselves as the chain for order books. Fortunately for the Near ecosystem, nobody's actually really done this yet. There's some really great competition out there, but I think we actually have some of the best solutions in the entire industry. And this narrative is yet to be won. And so it's one we're really pushing for. Something that's not that well known, but that excites me a lot is how the liquidity in the ecosystem has been increasing, and particularly for Near to stablecoin pairs. Not very widely known is that Near USDC liquidity on Orderly right now is actually deeper than on pretty much every single centralized exchange, with the exception of Binance, which is, I think, extremely impressive, and excited to see that statement become true for many more pairs. And I think that's something that's not really true in any other ecosystem. And the reason for this is that the architecture is designed for these larger types of participants, like professional market makers, prosumers, and one day we even hope to see many more types of professional organizations, institutions using these products. And the architecture really is aimed at directly solving problems that exist for them and making sure that it's compatible with their systems. The second area that has finally started to become true, and I think is going to be important to actually compete for this order book chain narrative, is a really, really low friction onboarding experience for multiple types of users, from like the average retail user who's just trying to acquire an asset to the sophisticated institution who's market making for all types of derivative products. And three areas that Near is really going to define itself here: gasless trading via meta transactions. What that means is that users do not necessarily need to explicitly acquire a little bit of Near for gas, but rather can focus on custodying the assets that are important to them, like USDC, USDT, and others. And this allows the protocol teams themselves to actually like pay for their gas. Broader MetaMask support and just popular wallet support in general. We have amazing native wallet solutions on Near now, which is, I think, really exciting with like Hera and Meteor and others. At the same time, some of these wallets like MetaMask have massive install bases, and there is friction that's involved with switching wallets. And so being able to allow users to bring wallets they're currently interacting with is going to be a big lift and really lower the barrier to adoption. And then the final one, as mentioned, these native stablecoin on-ramps, just making the process from getting money in and money out into these products is really key. And finally, we have some really, really compelling solutions to do so. And then most importantly, in establishing ourselves as the order book chain, is building ecosystems, not just around Near, but around these teams and protocols that are built on top of Near. And of course, that includes Orderly, Ref, Tonic, and Spin, each of which have seen projects leveraging their architecture to power their own solution. And those are really the types of moats that are going to allow us to establish ourselves in this narrative. Next slide, please. And last but certainly not least, the second really, really important narrative, and really this should be written, is BOS as the one-stop shop for DeFi, or BOS as powering many one-stop shops for DeFi. This is something that nobody else can do. Establishing these single entry points that are centralized in the way that you can enter them, like going to near.org or going to Ref or going to even Sweat or going to some of these different products, but decentralized in that the technology used to compose these solutions is broadly available, is forkable, is open source, and is even, I think importantly, able to be run locally is what's really key and really different. So we're already seeing many of the Near ecosystem protocols building components and deploying them on chain. You can actually just search on near.org for several of the top Near DeFi protocols and find components that they've launched, and then even view the source code, fork them, and the like is something that's really exciting. And we're seeing teams like Ref, Near.org, of course, and even Wallet and other types of teams that are launching their own gateways or converting their apps into gateways, or even just using the gateway technology to add additional functionality to the applications, which is creating these types of like partnerships and collaboration across teams in our ecosystem and even teams beyond. That's really exciting, and I think is going to be a defining factor in 2023. Using this tech, I think we can see what's closer to this holy grail of like a decentralized, centralized exchange type of experience. Like many people would say, like decentralized Binance. How do you create this really tight user experience that is dominating when it comes to like the actual daily user numbers? When you look at Coinbase and Binance and these applications, like they have far more daily active users than anything that's on chain. And it's because the onboarding experience and the general user experience and the breadth of products they have is quite excellent and is really serving user needs well. I think what's really compelling about BOS is that BOS is the technology that can actually empower this, but being done in a decentralized way and done in a way where each of these products can be built and maintained by different teams, but then they can be joined together into interfaces that are extremely user-friendly and provide the user journeys that people know and expect from these centralized exchanges. And then, of course, they can be run locally for max decentralization and for people who really care about that. And then last, but certainly not least, and maybe one of the most important narratives for Near in 2023 is this idea of multi-chain functionality. BOS really is taking us from just a layer 1 blockchain competing with all of the layer 1 and layer 2 blockchains into this product that actually serves the needs of ecosystem, like every single ecosystem, really. We're currently speaking with teams across the board there's really not a single ecosystem we're not interested in that can use BOS to solve some of the needs of their users and their projects. And I think what we're going to see, at least by the end of 2023, whether it's on, I mean, really on Near.org, you can already see it. These access layers that are powered by Near, powered by BOS, that allow users to interact with applications on EVM chains, on Sui, on Aptos, on Solana, Cosmos. The sky's the limit. And because of this, we really do believe that Near is the one chain that can actually power these one-stop shops for DeFi. So yeah, we're just about over time now. So I will let everyone go with that and take a look at some of the questions in the chat, but thanks everyone.
Thank you so much, Kendall. Thank you everyone for participating. Near is the boss, a unifying force in Web3. Please send us next topics and what you want to hear about or talk about. And thank you so much for your participation.